Hey everybody, welcome back to the Glacial Shield podcast. I'm your host, Gilded. Today I'm joined by Winter yet again. Surprisingly, he still keeps sticking around, but we're happy he's here. Today's video, we're going to actually be discussing Halo Infinite, and then we're going to be discussing some about the news about Pokemon Unite, and then we'll cap it off by a brief discussion and our hopes about Elden Ring. I want to preface this by saying that we did have a much longer video and breakdown discussion about Halo Infinite and the PvP trailer and the content. Unfortunately, the audio corrupted, so we couldn't use it. So today is going to be more or less the Coles notes of our thoughts from that previous discussion and breakdown. What's up, Winter?
Oh, not too much. I mean, if we have another corrupted video or we have YouTube block us from posting something again, you may lose me. Just let's not test that theory.
Yeah,
Um, I'm pretty excited for Halo multiplayer. I mean, I'm sitting here as we talk, re-skimming through the trailer itself where they talk about it, and I still see a lot that I like, even a few weeks later. I'm over the hype and I still like it. I think that's a good sign.
that's the key thing, right? A few weeks later, it's so easy just to be blinded and caught up in the hype when you see the new content, but after you let it sit there and mull over for a few weeks, it's kind of then, do you still feel the same way? It sounds like at the very least you do. Me personally, I feel close to the same level of hype. Now I'm kind of more grounded, though I am hyped, but I'm also just kind of still a little bit cautiously optimistic, hopeful, but I won't be surprised if things aren't spectacular.
Yep. Uh, I'd say that the one thing about the last conversation that we had that kind of brought up my excitement a little more was that you explained to me that the grapple hook is not actually part of a new set of random armor. I don't know what you call it, random armor upgrades.
Like
I'm
mods,
a
kind of
little
like Armor
disappointed.
Lock and like Jump Pack.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's something that you pick up on the battlefield. I'm excited. Even though I want a more reach style game, I like the concept that they're not making this multiplayer too complicated. It seems much more grounded and like the older games. I also like that from what I can see, a lot of the older guns are coming back, the older design of the guns. I'm old school, so I won't lie. I guess it's nostalgia, but I like the more old school look. How about you? What are some positive first impressions you've gotten?
So big takeaway for me there is you want a more Halo Reach style game, right?
Mhm.
Damn, I didn't
Yes.
know that. Halo Reach was a good time, but things like Armor Lock and actually, Armlock was kind of just the big thing that stuck out, and I guess the lack of an actual true ranking system in multiplayer kind of just drove me away a little bit. But I did like things. I usually main sprint and reach. Use jump pack occasionally, or like a what's it called? Can you think of
You
it?
mean the jetpack?
Jetpack. Thank you. I'm dumb. Yeah, it's a jetpack. uh, Jetpack mainly sprint though. It seems like sprint is not going away. I know there's a big portion of the fan base that both loves, but also an equal portion that maybe hates it and would love to see it just taken away from Halo completely, along with like Clamor and Spartan abilities. The good thing is though, Halo 5 Spartan abilities like the Spartan Charge or Dash and then the Ground Pound, they're not coming back apparently. So I think it's gonna bring us more back to a classic Halo thing, but there's still Sprint and there's still Clamor. I think it's kind of hard to escape both of those new, I'm not gonna say concepts, but ways of movement, especially with the rise of big games like Apex Legends, Call of Duty becoming just more popular. Battlefield, you got Destiny, just all kinds of first person shooters, really including sprint as a staple. And I mean, grapple is like a no brainer nowadays, too. Like to just doink yourself off a ledge and not be able to pick yourself up like you're a Spartan. Come on.
Yeah, I just had a comment on the running thing. I never thought it was a big deal, and to be honest, I can switch back and forth between new games and old games that have sprint and games that don't,
Yep.
and I don't even really notice. But my brother, who's an example of a player who is quite a bit younger, it's almost game breaking for him if he can't sprint. I remember he did not like Fallout 3 because you couldn't sprint. It took until Fallout 4 for him to really get in the game. And one of the biggest things he brought up was that ability to sprint.
Yep.
It surprised me, but he said it changed the game because then he didn't have to walk through all the boring parts and he could just sprint to wherever he wanted to go and help kill some of that time faster. So apparently it's a big deal to newer players. It was never a big deal to me. One big thing that they brought up, and I only just noticed while skimming through the video, is vehicle damage. I know that they talked a lot about vehicle damage, but I honestly don't think they did a very good show of it in the trailers. They didn't show a whole lot, at least not what I've seen. But in this trailer, I noticed that one of the warthogs being driven doesn't have a wheel. What do you think of that? Do you think it's going to impact your handling? Do you think it's going to make it really hard to accelerate? I mean, I would think it would be handling, but what do you think? What do you think? The, what do you think the variety is going to be? Do you think this is going to be a gimmick where there's like two things, your engine can blow up or your wheel could get destroyed? Or do you think this is realistically going to be like if, say, something gets knocked off and is dragging under the vehicle, it actually causes friction, slows down your vehicle? Do you think it's going to get that extreme, or do you think it's just going to be gimmicky?
I mean, like, if we're speaking realistically, it's probably going to be a gimmick, kind of like the Ghost, where if you shot the side, there's like a little the piece of the engine. If you shoot that, it'll explode. That's like its main weakness. I feel like you can shoot off the wheels on the Warthog. You can shoot off like maybe blow up the engine, and that'll detonate the entire thing, or give it into this kind of like final stand thing for the Warthog, where you have a certain amount of time or health remaining. But the way that it was hyped up in the trailer, it did look like there was going to be multiple options, but I just think realistically, from a gameplay and programming point of view, it probably won't be as complex as they're maybe leading us to believe. That's my 2 cents on it. I think that's probably the most likely outcome.
Oh, well, you brought up gimmicks, not me, which gives me a pretty good segue into the thing that I was most disappointed with, and that is the armor permutations. They brought up millions of different armor types that you could kind of rotate through. And yes, to everyone who's not going to hear the original video, I whined and complained about this during that video too. Um, it's very misleading, in my opinion. They brought up things like shoulder pauldrons, they brought up things like masks, they even brought up color and tint as examples of what they considered interchangeable. To me, that just sounds like old hat. If you consider every color tint and every pauldron left and right that you can change to cause millions of permutations, I think you might be able to do that in the old Halo games
Yeah, I
because
mean
you
the
have
the,
left.
the color combinations and just easily, right? The colors give you so many combos, or I guess permutations.
Right. So, what do you think of that? Do you think that that is bad that they're promoting something like that and trying to make it sound like it's revolutionary, or do you think they actually have something original on the way with it?
I mean, I would probably think just to excuse the color palettes entirely, just because if you include that in any game, you're gonna have endless customization. But really, you're gonna default to a couple of colors, and there's probably gonna be a decent amount of armor sets. I mean, we saw the really cool, almost new Hayabusa looking one that's unlocked from the battle pass, which is gonna be, I think you got to pay for one, and then do you get the other ones for free, or I think you got to pay for them seasonally, but you keep them forever, which that's a really good way to combat FOMO. But even if you don't finish it that season, you can go back and backfill it, kind of like the current MCC is doing, where actually the current MCC, you don't pay for any of the season passes. It's just free cosmetics. And I
Mm.
wonder if 343 is going to venture down that road again, where maybe just pay for it once or pay for it annually. I'm not sure.
I thought they said it was pay for it once because I remember we had the conversation that we again, this thing that they tried to pass off as revolutionary was once you bought it once, you always got to keep it.
Yep.
And you could go back to the old ones. But the thing is, that's how most modern game works. If you just play the game, you get enough coins or tokens or diamonds or whatnot that the next battle pass is free anyway. The only way you really lose it is if you don't play the game, which to me was a good way to keep people playing the game. And I actually saw it as somewhat as a positive.
I mean,
But
I mean, if you have permanent access to your battle pass, that's you say it's not revolutionary. It is because games like Fortnite and Destiny, Call of Duty, once that season's done, the unlockables and the customizations are gone forever. You can't get them again. Like John Wick from season two in Fortnite, if you weren't there to get it, there's some exclusivity and reputation that kind of is cool that you were there, but also you can never get it. You can't even pay for it if you want to.
But are you not going to miss some of that exclusivity? Imagine if you're on the beta of a game and you got some rare armor set, but then some guy who joined in on year 6 can just get it immediately without any issue. It's not that I don't see both sides of that coin, but to me, while I don't like pay for exclusive armors or whatever you want to call them, exclusive armors that have a paywall, I actually don't mind the concept of you were here first or you showed up on this day, you can get a rare armor set. To me, that's kind of one of those fun collectible things. And I've been on the opposite side of that wall before where it's like, oh no, I forgot to sign in on Christmas Day. I guess I will not get the Santa hat. But But again, to me, that's just, it's a nice to get. I'm not going to cry if I don't get it. And when I see someone who has something ultra rare like that, I'm like, oh, look, that's cool. Um, to me, it does take away something when you take away some of that exclusivity if it can be earned. Again, not paywalled. Do you disagree with that?
There is some exclusivity there it's lost, but I mean, there is just this big talk about FOMO in the gaming industry where fear of missing out, that feeling you always have to play in order to get access to the things always, because if you don't, it's going to be gone forever. And regardless of whether or not the cosmetic is cool, you know, it's like, oh, I wish I should have played longer to get it. Well, it's like, yeah, that's a shitty feeling to have as a gamer. Whereas you can come back after taking a break and then finish that previous pass that you worked on. There's no
Mm.
push for developers to constantly have you playing because eventually you're going to burn your players out. It's you need to take a break. I mean, even if you main the game, someone coming back after taking like a year break, they can't just go right out and buy like the armor they want because if they're going to do it smart, which that they've been doing for the MCC, they're going to have the coolest things like the BR skins and the armor, like the helmets, at the end of the battle pass, and you have to upgrade it fully in order to get access to it. So I think there's
Mm.
not some. It's not going to be exclusivity, but it's going to be it'll take you longer to get all of the shit. You can be like specific and like go on this X battle pass to get all of the reach stuff, or go to the season 7 battle pass in MCC to concentrate on getting the elite customizations, like for their armors and the swords. You know, it's there is a little bit lost, and I think they're gonna still. I wouldn't doubt it. They're gonna have paid for like unique armor cores or colorings or palettes, whatever. But I think you're gonna
No,
be able
they
to.
promised they wouldn't. They promised there will be no paywall for anything to do with cosmetics, unless they're lying.
I mean, I mean, they're out to make money. Look at Doom. Like Doom, people are pissed about them because you weren't going to pay for any cosmetics, and now they're putting out previously unlocked ones for a cost, like the unicorn skin.
You missed it. Now you pay for it. I
Exactly.
don't like that either. I'll admit, I'm not on the side of that.
Now Doom has been putting out a bunch of free content, like master levels, but again, they kind of went back on what they said. So I'm sure 343 could do the exact same thing.
Fair enough. All right, let's. We promised we'd be making these videos shorter, so let's quickly talk graphics. Do you think the graphic overhaul that you've seen since the first trailer now, or the first gameplay, which was single player, to be fair, do you think it looks improved? I think it looks much more grounded. It looks a lot less cartoony, and it looks, honestly, I told you the first time we talked about this. To me, this looks like Halo Reach. It doesn't look like Halo 3. It doesn't look like Halo 4. It looks like they pulled their inspiration from Halo Reach, and I love it.
I get 3 and Reach vibes actually, maybe a little bit of CE, especially like you said. I'll answer your first question. The environments, the graphics look way better, way better. Like they stepped it up big time. There's no more derpy Greg. There's no more polygon looking backgrounds. I know they were forerunnery, but they looked like crap when you're comparing it to normal games. And Halo has its own aesthetic. It's gonna last. Like Halo 2, it's a little dated, but it's not dated to the point where it's awful and you don't want to play it. It's I wouldn't say timeless, but it's approaching timeless. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, Halo 2 is timeless. And the funny thing is, when I was playing the anniversary, I actually thought the Halo 2 anniversary graphics in game, not cutscenes, were worse than the original graphics. I would have preferred to play it in the original graphics, which I did for a lot of the game.
I mean, Halo
Um,
1 Anniversary had the same problem. Lighting effects were too high, it didn't look as good. A lot of the flood levels were too light, but regardless, Halo Infinite looks infinitely better. Environments look beautiful. Guns, gun models, animations, sounds, they amped up 100%.
you couldn't resist that Infinite joke, could you?
if I didn't even know if I made that. It's actually douchey of me. Jeez.
All right, last topic, and let's make this quick. What do you think of the gunplay? I think it looks fast. I think it looks frenetic. I won't lie. I actually do think, especially now that I've kind of watched through it twice, it looks faster, almost more modern. It looks more grounded. It looks like older Halo. I don't know how to describe what I'm feeling. It looks like older Halo, but it feels faster like a newer game, which until I get my hands on the controller, I'm not going to be able to tell you how I feel 100%. But I think I'm okay with it being slightly upped in pace, but keeping that kind of old school Halo gunplay vibe.
Yep.
I think I'm okay with it. What about you?
I think it's still good. I think like the BR in Halo 3 had like around a 1 second time to kill. I think it was largely the same for Halo 5. I think to
Mhm.
maintain the consistency, it'll probably float somewhere around that 1 second mark for, 4 bursts of headshots. Um,
Right.
I think they've slowed down sprint speed a lot, and that's to make it more
Mhm.
along the lines of like the Halo feel of like Halos 1 to 3. Also on the sprint topic, Halo games feel good with the movement options they have. If you can only walk, it feels like it fits the game. And also, if
Mhm.
PvP maps, if you add sprint, you have to inflate the levels to feel a little bit bigger artificially. So that's the trade-off there. But they,
Whatever happened to people just pushing the joystick a little less further to make a walk, and then pushing it all the way was considered sprint? Am I dumb? Because I remember when I was a kid, I thought sprint was when you push the controller all the way forward.
that's pretty much it. Push it even harder to make yourself sprint faster.
But it's true, because you remember when you play, like, I mean, I think even when you play games these days, if you just lightly tap it, it moves, your character moves very slowly. If you push it all the way forward, he sprints. If you push it to the point where you break the controller, well, you win a prize. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get why sprint is such a big deal. I get it in a game like Fallout, where it's like, I'm walking over the same place for the 10th time to get to a building that has died into a deathclaw for the 15th time.
Yep.
But I don't know why it's necessary in Halo, and maybe it's a competitive thing. But anyway, we've
Anywho,
talked Halo to death, and we probably killed it more than 343 has. That's all I got, guys. It's good talking to everyone. Y'all have a great evening.
later, guys.